So,
Hi, my name is Sean Shaler.
no.
That's my friend Chris Ford, aka The Objective Geek of YouTube and Twitter. Welcome to Avatar The Last Podcasters. Today we are talking about
Welcome.
exactly how he said it. Exactly. That was a little Southwestern. I liked that. And I don't know what
I
you're
watched
going
this
for.
random. Watched this random SNL skit today. It was called like Maine Justice. It's about it's like a Southern New Orleans courtroom, but they moved to Maine for some reason. I think because of Katrina. And it's just an SNL skit, and they can't understand what they're talking about. And Jason Sudeikis is the judge, but he's talking in like a Southern Louisiana accent.
Of course he
And
is.
I
Of
don't know. I
course he
can't
is.
even explain why it's funny, but it's funny.
Uh, of course he's talking in a Southern accent. That's the only way that he talks. Uh, I, when I heard you, I thought you were just like going Southwestern with that. I thought you were just like maybe Maine. I don't know why Maine accents and Southwestern accents conflate in my brain, but there you have it. Chris, how are you? What have you been up to?
I've been doing good. That's,
Excellent, excellent.
that's not much of an update.
That's the extent of it. Good. That's it. That's what we got for you, people. Um, awesome. I like it when you're doing good. I am also doing good. We were recording this last week because we always record on Tuesdays, but this week I am at home playing in a wood bat softball tournament on a field that's like 260 foot deep. That's why I gotta have the wood bat. And the infield is mostly weeds, and the outfield fence is like 60 years old. And there's like 8 people in town, but for some reason, like 100 people show up and play softball. So it's sentimental to me. I enjoy doing it every year, but it's a very weird, rustic experience, let's call it. So very excited, but not as excited I am as to talk about what if Aang and Korra switched places. Chris, you want to tell us how this is going to go?
Yes. So, people always talk about like, oh, Korra's better Avatar, oh, Aang's better Avatar. But let's talk about, hey, what if they switch places? And in this case, first we're going to start off with what if Korra was just plopped in kind of into Aang's place. Korra being like season one, episode one, Korra being put into Aang's spot of having to deal with the 100-Year War, of dealing with the Fire Nation, and so is this comic coming up. How would she manage that? Would she be successful? Would she fail? Would she fall? Would she succeed? What will happen? And how will she do it? Will she handle it easier than Aang? Harder than Aang? What nuances will be there? So yeah.
Makes sense to me. So it's not that she literally thawed out of an ice cube out of being gone for 100 years, but it's that she got thrust in as a young 12-year-old Korra. She got thrust into some pretty serious circumstances. Is what we're getting at. Not that she was literally frozen in ice. It is now unfrozen.
Yeah, just plop her in there. Just go with this thought experiment.
Yeah, that sounds good. Chris, get us started. What would happen?
All right.
What happens first?
Let's put her exactly where Aang was at. Just in the Southern Water Tribe. She's in this case I'll just say she's 17 because I don't have enough bases to go off of Korra at that age. At like 12. Um, so she meets, Zuko's looking for the Avatar. Let's say she finds the Avatar. He finds the Avatar, and she goes off with Sokka and Katara. So the first big issue that they run into is um, she still has to figure out what to do about like she'll be just like Aang in this case of not knowing what to do. The world's at war, so she has to go uh, to go meet Roku to get an idea of what's happening. I don't see really any issues there because we'll also give her Appa too. Because like I said, we're plopping her right in this space. I'm not gonna say that she gets Naga. I'm not gonna hinder her that. If she didn't have Appa, this would actually be a way different story. Appa
So
was so critical to everything.
Something that helps her out is that she has an easier time mastering the elements than Aang does, with the exception of air. So I think that kind of speeds along maybe the first part of her journey a little better,
Yeah.
the first to mid part of the journey. I'm trying to think of a time of like, at what point was something airbending related essential, and do we have like a fun, different story crux? Like that's her
Hmm.
first big challenge to overcome, or that pushes her, like in the same way like Aang dealing with firebending, for example, or a similar way. And I can't think of what that is
Um,
off the top of my head.
you know what's interesting? So they go to Southern Air Temple. Although Korra doesn't really need to go there. Aang kind of goes there just to get a sense of where everything is at, what's all going on. I think he once goes there just to confirm what's happened to his people. There is a couple of times. There's a couple of different episodes or missions they go on that Korra probably would handle differently than Aang. Like the imprisoned episode, she would not be. It would just be an all-out brawl. I think
I think
when
that's a
they get on that
reasonable
boat.
yes. I think that's a reasonable yes.
Yeah. And I think
Um,
the end result is probably close to the same.
so that's a good thought process of maybe Korra gets out of certain situations a little faster just by being willing to pull triggers and things a little sooner, by being a better, stronger bender. But I'm wondering, does that lead to like any consequences later? Does she try to fight Zuko head on early on? Does she,
Ooh, so the interesting enough, the episode where let's say that uh let's say the Blue Spirit episode still happens. This is probably gonna be the hardest thing because she would get captured, I think, still by the Yuyan archers. Like, I don't think that changes. I think um,
that's not something she's prepared to deal with at in that moment? I think.
yeah, and Aang is more evasive than she is, and so I think she would be caught by them. The interesting thing is like when they are oh crap, my TVs. When they're breaking out, like she won't be able to break out the same way that Aang broke out because Aang was able to like use air bending and stuff to break out. He was able to like lift Zuko up and stuff. This is more going to be an all-out brawl to get out. She's kicking butt and taking aims in this case. Like once she gets out, I think she's going to attack. Um, she's not necessarily trying to escape. She's just like, let me just take out their leader, Zhao, and that's how she gets out of the situation. I think she just takes out Zhao, which leaves them kinda uh, directionless. So yeah, so that's I think that's how she gets out of that little bit of a hiccup. Way different than Aang, but that's probably going to be her biggest hurdle.
But also,
To
as you mentioned earlier, I feel like that still has similar end results, even though the actual action that you see on screen would vary quite a bit.
yeah. See, I'm going through the episode list now, just give me a little refresher here. The so season one. Yeah, also she probably doesn't go to Omashu. Sure, she goes to imprisoned. Winter Solstice. That's interesting because Roku still wasn't able to speak with Aang. Probably because Aang wasn't. I've tried to think why wasn't Aang able to communicate with Roku right off the back, or back, whatever it is. The Roku had since Dragon. Would Korra even be? Korra was less spiritual than Aang at this time. Like, would she be able to get that message from Roku?
Uh,
Probably.
I'm
I don't
gonna
know.
say
She'll
either
reach through
no,
somehow.
or that it would be like a bigger struggle to do that.
Yeah.
Which is not the sexiest answer, but I think it'd at least be a longer, maybe where she gains time breaking out of some other scenarios. She spends more time struggling through the meditative process of getting in contact with Roku.
Yeah, and even it being the winter solstice, that probably helps out. a lot. That was, yeah, that probably helps out.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
So what else happens
Ooh,
that
what do you
might
think?
go?
What do you think happens when she meets Jet? I think she's against Jet. Also, she doesn't agree with Jet and what he does,
But is
and
she
I
a more
think he.
vengeful spirit than Aang? Maybe a little. Maybe it sounds a hair more appealing to her at first. But I don't think. I think the end result's like, you know what, this is wrong. Maybe it's a bigger learning moment for her as a person who seems like she would be a little more vengeful out of the gate.
Yeah,
Uh, but I think in the end she does the right thing.
she would be so annoyed in the Great Divide episode.
She
Like
just
Aang
start.
was
She just
annoyed.
start like picking her favorite people and hauling them across. Like, you help deal with your own problems.
Yeah. Granted, she would be able to traverse them through the Great Divide easily because she's a great Earthbender. Like that would be easy. But it would, they would irk her nerves.
Maybe
She
we
would be
get to
testing her
skip.
Avatar patience.
Maybe we get to skip that episode. Um, Speaking of episodes, we could skip Bato the Water Tribe, because would she hide that information and she just be like, "Listen, this is something I got, but you're gonna do it my way, and we're gonna go." And so maybe we get to skip the two
Ooh, I
bad
don't know.
episodes.
That's, oh, you know what would happen? The fortune teller, though, that is when Aang's airbending does come into play.
Oh
But I feel
yeah.
like the way she gets around that though is that she forces someone up there and shows them the the volcano. Like, look, you idiot! She holds them over the volcano.
Well, in most of the stuff,
Like,
she would be able to combat just with different combinations of other bending, right? Like, if the volcano goes off, it's like, all right, well, we got a fire slash earthbender here, so that's kind of handy.
I don't know, because air was the perfect element for that specific like volcano eruption. I think she gets the people out before then, but I think the town gets gets eaten by the volcano.
Yeah, I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt
Okay.
on that, at least, of that she would have found a creative and probably technically more powerful bending way to to
Yeah.
to make it work. Um, Might have been like slightly more ham-fisted and less tactical, but it would have worked absolutely.
All right,
Uh,
so she would have made her way to the deserter. I don't think she. Why are they even in the Fire Nation? The deserter. They don't really need to
just to
be.
learn firebending, right? So she didn't have to
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
that
Okay.
really. I mean,
No. Yeah.
she still
Also,
could, like, hey, teach me firebending. Like, no, you're actually fine. Please don't set anything else on fire and go away. You're using it wrong.
or it might be interesting because he'll be like, your fire burns way too hot. Like your fire burns. That'd just be kind of an interesting character thing. I think nothing changes at all with that, but it would be a time for her to practice. It'll be a little character growth to show some patience because right now she's probably not that patient.
Um, what else would happen there?
All right, so now the big thing. Oh, what else happened with the
No, I'm just
deserter
trying to
or in
think of
season
other
one?
things that might be impacted by her. At some point, I want something to like push her into like learning airbending. I want to find that motivator of what that is, and I haven't found it
Oh
yet.
yeah,
That's
yeah. I haven't found it yet either. Huh. So Siege of the North. She, shoot, she doesn't get captured by Zuko. Oh, but wait, Aang, Zuko's only called Aang because Aang was stuck in the spirit world. I think she would try the same thing. So yeah, she could get caught by him, but she would then be able to burn. She would be able to get out of it easily. So maybe a few things happen relatively the
I
same.
think some of it's more expedited. Does she get any benefits by like being ahead of the of like the solstice, for example, or being slightly more prepared? Because I think her journey is a slightly faster one.
I think. I think without the Avatar state, because at this point in time, she wouldn't have any mastery over it. Somewhat how Aang has no mastery over it. I'm not sure that much changes in book one. Like I
Book
think it
one.
goes somewhat the same. Like uh, Commander Zhao would capture the moon spirit, and then he would kill it. Then Yue would heal it. Then the ocean spirit would get pissed off, still take over Korra's body. So that might be her first Avatar state moment.
But would she bond really well with the ocean spirit? Would that like be awesome?
I think it'll be more or less the same because the ocean spirit at that point in time, like Aang isn't in any control. It's just the ocean spirit. Like I'm using you as a conduit for me to physically be on this plane of existence and kill all these people.
Which is a really nice way to word that. Beautifully
yeah.
spoken.
Then the Avatar state happens. Whatever. Oh, you know what happens a little differently. I don't know. I don't know if it's that important. I don't know if I want to take this character out just because Korra doesn't need this person, but Korra wouldn't need Toph at all, so they wouldn't have to go searching for Earth Bending Master. I don't know. I don't know how I went through that thought experiment. But Avatar Day will be interesting. It'll happen exactly this. Although Korra wouldn't give herself up, but she still would want to prove herself. But she's not going to do whatever they want to do. She's not going to do the punishment. When it comes to important, Zuko alone is just Zuko alone. The chase, Korra's fighting them, and she would beat Azula. Would she beat Azula? I mean, I think she would beat Azula, but that lightning is
a 12-year-old unexposed to lightning bending. I feel like it might be a better fight, but she's going to be. I think she's still going to be in over her head at that moment, even if she kind of recovers and gets around it again faster just by nature of being a stronger bender.
And yeah, I was approaching this as Korra just being 17, like just Korra book one in this point. But you want to go with 12, it's fine.
Oh, 12.
I just don't.
No, I see what you're saying.
I just don't have any basis, really. Okay, anyway.
Same.
Yeah. As we push through, if we think about the drill, that drill's coming down. I think the fight. I think she's beating the drill pretty easily. Again, it's like where does she think she needs to learn airbending? Also, she wouldn't have anyone to learn airbending from. But I guess it'll be like Kyoshi in that sense. Like Kyoshi didn't really learn from any airbenders. She did it on her own. It'll probably be. Still go to the library, and I feel like this is gone. Still go to the library. That all happens. Whatever the same. The drill happens most of the same. I'm going to cut to the part in Book 2 that I think is interesting.
Okay.
How will the Crossroads of Destiny go?
Maybe she murders Zuko. No, does she put up a better fight in those circumstances? Is that what you're asking, essentially?
Yeah, I think she does. And then she probably gets overwhelmed because then all the members of the Dai Li comes around. Oh, but she would have met the Guru though at some point. Guru probably would have helped her learn airbending. Because even though he didn't know airbending, that type of teachings and stuff would have, I think, helped her somewhat. And that would have helped her master the Avatar state. Man, does everything kind of go? In my head, I want to say that things don't go the same, but I feel like in Book 2, things might go relatively the same. except
I
I don't think she loses.
I would say, and we've talked about it before, the Days of Future Past theory. I've always been like the ripple effect believer. But I think what we want to hear about really is like, so I do think most things go the same just because they're both solving similar problems and they're both good problem solvers in their own way with various styles
Yeah,
to get to the end. Is like, I think the part we all want to hear about is, what does she do to Ozai? Right?
yeah, that is
That's the
honestly
big.
everything. So we'll just go straight to Day Black Sun
I think that you can make a
because
realistic case that up to that point everything would have very similar outcomes.
I think so, and I think Day of Black Sun's where things differ because I think she'll find Avatar. I'm sorry, she'll find Fire Lord, and I think Korra by herself, no Avatar state, can defeat. Will definitely have enough time to defeat Fire Lord Sozin. And even if she couldn't, the Avatar state would be triggered if she's ever in a life or death situation. Like Fire Lord Sozin, like to me, his skills are comparable to his level of power is comparable to not probably Kuvira. And I think peak season one Korra could beat Kuvira.
I think that's reasonable. I think it'd be still a balanced fight, and maybe her airbending ability, presuming that she gets over that hump at some point. I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think she would by then.
I think so too. She'd find a motivator in there. Does she kill him?
Yes, absolutely. She kills him.
Yeah. She
That's the
doesn't. She
difference
doesn't
there.
go,
That
but she
she
doesn't go through the same like epiphany process as Aang does.
the energy bending type of stuff.
She doesn't have any sort of mental buildups or epiphanies that Aang does because she's not fighting the same internal battles, I guess.
Yeah,
So maybe
yeah.
energy bending just doesn't happen.
I don't think energy bending happens. I think she just kills the Fire Lord. That's the most straightforward way she can solve this problem. She doesn't know how to take his bending away because she has no moral conundrum with killing him. Yeah, I think she would just kill him.
Uh, what does that leave energy bending in the future? What do we miss out on for missing out on energy bending then?
You just can't take it. It means when you're faced with an unbelievable bender, you have to kill him. Like Aang didn't kill Yakone because he could just take his bending away. Um, like it's the ultimate. Oh, what? Sorry. It's the ultimate substitution to killing.
Um, well, and I'm just trying to decide if that actually plays an impact anywhere that I remember. What about comics and things? Does that ever have an impact that they wouldn't have?
Well, if you kill, but when it comes to energy bending, no, that's pretty much it. I mean, Aang, this is irrelevant at this point because we're switching sides. But because of Aang's energy bending, he was able to give Korra back her bending. But in this case, it doesn't matter. Zuko will probably never find. Well, I won't say never, but it'll be harder for him to find his mother because one person that because that clue was from Ozai, and if Ozai's dead, he doesn't know. He doesn't even know that she's alive.
Um, that kind of makes me feel bad for energy bending. Like it just doesn't get invented, but now it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
this
So that
this more tame than I expected, though. But like I know I just fear that way of like Korra and Aang would have essentially had the same end goal with the murderous difference, and they're both good, effective problem solvers. So it might have looked a little different, but I think I think the ultimate ends would have been very similar. I'm wondering if relationships would have been different. Like, Korra probably wouldn't have been as forgiving of Zuko, and like Aang already wasn't super. I mean, he was on board, but like, there's things like that might have been stressed differently. But would Zuko ultimately have like found a way to grow and help anyway, and maybe eventually win her over? Like, yeah, probably.
Yeah, and I should say that I'm not sure. I don't think Korra gets. I don't think she defeats at the Crossroads of Destiny. I'm not sure she would defeat the Dai Li and Azula and Zuko, but it's more so stalemate. Like they get away without any big injuries or life threatening situations. Because I think the Avatar State would have probably have been triggered because she would have been put in that situation. But I think she would have been fine. I think Zuko will still have the opportunity. Zuko will still have the opportunity to still rethink his life and stuff.
I think you have to you have to think pretty hard to try to force a serious difference here. I think.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I have anything else to add to that, Chris. You have any final thoughts?
I really don't. Like that, I don't know. I went by a little faster than I thought. She would just be more killy a lot more than Aang.
Murder, kill. Maybe maybe Fei, what is his name? Fei Long? Maybe that guy gets dead.
Long Fei.
Long Fei, thank you.
Oh gosh.
Maybe that guy
no,
gets
I don't
dead.
think she kills.
Maybe a couple sandbenders get their heads blown off, but in the end she damaged some relationships, but she saved the world, Okay. All right. Well, if you're interested, come back next week and we'll do the reverse. We'll plop young.
There's a lot more to go down. There's a lot more to discuss there. That's like 4 people. How does Aang deal with them?
For some reason your mic just got funny. Is that because you had your hand there?
Possibly.
Oh yeah. Oh. Okay. Yeah, that's where your mic is. How about that? Okay, interesting. Yeah, come back next week and we will we'll reverse them. And we will put Aang into Korra's shoes and find the impacts there. That's all I got. My name's Sean Shaler. That's my friend Chris Ford, aka the Objective Geek of YouTube and Twitter fame. This is Avatar: The Last Podcasters. Spare us any likes, comments, subs, thumbs up, thumbs downs, reviews, whatever you can spare us. We're very grateful for. Do that.
You keep those thumbs down yourself. Keep them to yourself.
We don't even get to see how many of them there are. What's the point of them? And yeah, we'll talk to you next week. See you later.
Flip, 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 flip. Game over. Flip, 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 flip. Dum, dum, dum. No one listened to them.
I'm not familiar with it.